Last week I was looking on YouTube, I was just searching around as we normally do, and I stumbled across a very interesting page with some very interesting commentary about people that are polyglots or people that proclaim to learn languages very quickly. And I think it opens up a great discussion for us to talk about the real reality of learning languages and what all of you can expect to learn through comprehensible input, why I believe this is the best method, and yet some things that I think can be improved, and some things that worked great for me, even though it wasn't exactly following the comprehensible input method. Now, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the YouTube channel that I saw. The YouTube creator, I believe his name is pronounced Evil Dia, and I found his channel because he's using Dreaming Spanish, and he's trying to show his journey along the way. And I think that's great. I think that's excellent. He's speaking every 50 hours to show. Now, I think that maybe it doesn't give a full picture because a part of the comprehensible input method requires a time of silence. And while I didn't follow this because I lived in Spain by the time I found comprehensible input, I did try to minimize the amount of speaking I did until I reached a certain threshold, around 600 hours more or less. But that wasn't because I really tried to either. It was because I really couldn't. With comprehensible input, it takes a while, it takes a lot of input for you to feel much more comfortable outputting, for you to feel comfortable going into a conversation. And even then, you'll run into moments where you can't find the word. It's completely normal. You're learning another language. Hopefully, you're able to figure out a way to describe it using other language, which I think you'll find to be the case. It's what happens to me. It's what I found is that even when I didn't have the perfect vocabulary to describe the situation exactly, I was able to describe it in a way where the person that I was speaking with understood. And realistically, that's what we all want, is to have a conversation. Now, that aside, Evil Dia, one thing, I'm not going to lie, I got really into his videos. I started watching one video after another because one thing he does is he kind of exposes, not kind of, he exposes polyglots that go on YouTube, especially on YouTube, that claim to speak 10, 12 languages fluently, and they learned them all in the past couple of years. Really things that are impossible. Things that it's just not achievable. You're not going to be able to learn all those languages in such a short amount of time. Now, there's other creators on here that speak 8, 9 languages that really do, that speak them to a high level, a C1 level, but they took years. They have been learning languages for 20, 30 years. And that makes sense to me because here's the dirty truth. Here is the absolute truth about learning languages. It takes time. There is no fluency in 3 months. There is no secret method to learn a language in 6 months. It is impossible. Now, let's think realistically. If it were true, if you were able to learn a language in 3 months and 6 months, people would be walking around, a ton of people would be walking around speaking 10 languages as if it was completely normal, if that was the case. I know for me, someone who loves languages, loves learning languages, I know I would jump into that and I would be learning Chinese, and then I would learn Korean, and then I'd learn Arabic and German. But that's not the reality. Learning languages takes a lot of time. And I think Evil Dia is doing a great service on YouTube by exposing these people, because what does it really do, these channels? Normally, it makes you feel bad about yourself where you go, well, I've been learning English for 2 years, for 3 years, and I don't have a C1 level. And this person learned English and they learned Japanese and they also learned Russian in that time. How is it possible? Well, the truth is it's not. A lot of the time, these pages eventually try to sell you some kind of course, right? The best way to learn languages, follow my method, and things like that. I don't think it's worth the money. I've never bought one of those courses. I don't see the benefit in it. Now, there's some people, some language teachers online, things like that, that sell courses. I myself used one in Spanish, and it was focused on comprehensible input, and yet there was some grammar. And I didn't do that until I had well over 1,500 hours of Spanish. I understood very, very well. But because I live in Spain, because I have dreams of being a lawyer in Spain, I need to know the language extremely well. And at some point, I think it's important to learn some grammar, just like in your native language. However, not at the start. Once you understand the language, once you have an ear for it, it's a lot easier and it's a lot less frustrating, and you start to just realize it speeds up the grammar process because you already recognize the pattern from hearing it over and over and over again, and then you dive into a little grammar and you realize, oh, okay, I understand why, and maybe if you were making a mistake before, you're able to correct it. Because now you realize, I see, that's how you build that type of sentence. But I think it's best to wait, not to start. Okay, so basically, people want to speed it up, right? People want to speed up the process. I understand completely. I was already living in Spain and I didn't speak Spanish, and I wanted to learn as quickly as possible. And so I was trying everything. I was trying grammar. I had a month of classes, which it was just not helpful enough because I didn't understand the teacher, right? I didn't listen enough. I didn't understand the language. So that, it helped a little, but not that much. I learned a little basic grammar, but I wasn't able to use it. I tried to read books and write every vocab word that I didn't know down and look up the definition and make flashcards to study. I tried all these apps, I tried all these things, and it didn't really start to work until I found comprehensible input. It did help to have a base. It did help that I had studied some things to an extent, but then it took a while to stop translating in my head. That is what I think really is the absolute power of comprehensible input. It's when you're learning little by little and you're not translating anything, it becomes more natural. The language is embedded in your head. There's no connection to your native language. And because of that, it's such a powerful tool. Is it perfect? I don't think so. I don't think anything in this world is perfect, right? Unless you grew up in that country since the age of 3, I don't know if you'll ever feel perfectly 100% excellent. I don't know. I already feel much more comfortable in Spanish to a point where, I couldn't even imagine this. I work in Spanish, my friends, everything, right? I read books, I watch movies, I live my life, I go on vacation with friends, and it's only in Spanish. And for me, in 2.5 years of learning Spanish, a little less with comprehensible input, I could have never dreamed of reaching this level, getting a C1 certificate, and again, with very little grammar study. I did it a little after, but just to kind of understand, a lot of it is you don't need to understand the grammar unless you really want to know, or in maybe my case now, where I want to be a lawyer, which obviously means it entails that I need to be writing documents and things like that in perfect Spanish, right? So for that, absolutely. But I think comprehensible input is the best method. I think it's the most natural way. And I think honestly, it's a pretty low effort way. You sit there at your computer, I sit here and make videos, and you just go ahead and you sit back and enjoy. You watch things that are interesting to you. And to me, when I found that method, I could easily sit down throughout the day and watch 2 hours of videos throughout the day, right? And then maybe an hour of videos, an hour of podcasts once I got to the level to listen to podcasts. To me, it made more sense. I would have never sat down and studied out of a book for 2 hours a day. Impossible, no way. But now I'm able to watch TV, I'm able to read, I'm able to do things that I like and I would do anyway while I'm still learning. To me, it's incredible. But again, it takes time. It takes a lot of time. I was in a hurry. I was getting as many hours in a day as possible, even some days 5, 6 hours, because I was able to, maybe on the weekends or things like that. It's a lot. That's a lot. But I knew I needed to learn as quickly as possible. Even then, it was not 3 months. It was not 6 months. It takes a long time, and that is okay. So I really enjoyed watching some of those videos by Evil Dia to remind ourselves that it's not easy. It takes time. He has videos that are also, I'm going to be honest, against comprehensible input, where some people that say they've reached a certain amount of hours that aren't able to speak very well or much at all in the language. And while I think those are important, I don't think it takes away the effectiveness, the efficacy of comprehensible input. But I think it highlights that everyone's journey is going to be different. Also, to be fair, some of those videos, it's people being interviewed in another language, right, that they're learning. They're on camera. There's things like that. There's other factors as well. Some people also naturally are going to be able to speak easier. Some people find it easier to speak to strangers. Some people find it easier to put themselves out there. And if they make a mistake, they don't really care. Some people are a little more introverted, that aren't as extroverted, right? They're keep to themselves. They're a little more shy. It's a little more difficult for them to speak to strangers, to speak to new people. They're quieter. And so, of course, for those people, it's going to be a lot more difficult. I break away from comprehensible input in the fact that it's okay to study some grammar. It's okay. Whatever works on your journey. At the end of the day, it's your language learning journey. You can go to the ALG Hub. I have the ALG website, which is kind of the people that put into practice comprehensible input. I think it's great. I think it's a great resource to kind of learn the best way to do it. But it's okay if you break the rules. There's no perfect method out there. There's a reason, though, that I make these videos. If I didn't believe in comprehensible input, the reason I believe is because I see in myself, I see how it really works. But if I didn't feel this way, I promise you, I would not have a channel making comprehensible input videos. I promise. It would not be something that I would be putting all this time and effort into if I didn't believe it. And the reason why I'm here, the reason why I'm making these videos is because I've seen how it worked for me, and I want to help all of you learn English the best way, the natural way, and I really think that it's this method. Put in the comments below, what are some other things that you've seen on YouTube? Some other language creators that maybe promise certain things. To me, I think the worst one is people promising those results in 3 to 6 months, 1 month. I've even seen some that are 1 month, right? Start speaking Japanese in a month, be fluent in a month. And all those things, all those videos, all those creators, really the only effect they have is they make people feel bad for not achieving those results. And yet you can't feel bad because it's impossible. It's not possible. So don't feel bad. It's your journey. Take your time, right? If you need the rush, if you need to get more input, that's okay. Go ahead. Keep watching. There's a lot of great comprehensible input out there. There's a ton of series and movies when you get to it. So go for it. But if not, it's okay. Take your time. Watch a video, 2 videos every day, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Little by little, you'll get there. But don't race or don't compare yourself to the videos out there that really aren't true. All right, everyone, put it in the comments below. What's some of those things you've seen out there or heard from other people? I'd like to know. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to keep getting input. Subscribe so you can keep watching these videos. And little by little, you'll get there. All right, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.